a short disclaimer at the start of this list. I do not condone power feeding. Please do not power feed your snakes. These snakes are on a regular diet. Sometimes ball pythons can be picky eaters. These snakes in particular just like to eat when I feed them once a week or once every other week. Sometimes they don't even eat that often, but I've had them for, they're either 2, 3, 4 years old. They eat on a regular basis, and they're extremely healthy. I do not force feed these snakes. I don't feed them twice a week, 3 times a week. They eat one appropriately sized rat weekly or bi-weekly, and they just naturally get to this size. I have quite a few females that don't get this big, and that's okay too, but please do not force feed your snakes. Hey guys, welcome back to Blind Strike Exotics, and it is time to do my top 5 biggest ball pythons in my collection video again. The first time I posted this was back in January of 2021, so it's been about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half since I posted that, and that is still my best video to date on YouTube, so it's time to revisit it because we've got some newcomers, some new snakes, and some snakes that are still holding the top spots. I'm going to start with a couple honorable mentions. The first one here being this pastel pied. She is a fantastic eater, kind of grumpy, but she's a beautiful snake, and she's about 2,600 grams. When I did the measurement calculation, she's about 6.1 pounds. So she's not huge, which is why she's an honorable mention, but I had quite a few snakes in the 2,500, 2,600 gram range. So I wanted to kind of highlight her just because she's a beautiful snake for being just pastel pied, if that's all she really is. She has some really cool saddles and some really black outlines here around the saddles. So she's an awesome snake, 6.1 pounds, and an honorable mention. Next up is this, another honorable mention, this 2,700 gram spot nose clown female. She's about 100 grams more than the last snake, so she's also around 6.1, 6.2 pounds. She's only spot nose and only clown, but this is, half of what you need to make the Batman, which is a leopard spot nose clown. So hopefully my leopard pied het clown male pairs up with her this year, and I get some Batmans out of the combo that are also going to be 100% het pied. Plus he has a few other genes in them as well. She's newer to my collection. I didn't have her when I recorded the last video, but she has been eating really well for me, and I'm really excited to get her paired up this coming fall. Now it's time to start the top 5. And coming in at number 5 is this OD, or Orange Dream, het pied female. She's about 2,800 grams, or about 6.2 pounds or so. A little bigger than the last 2 snakes, but she's, number 5 on the list. This snake is a great example of what Orange Dream does, and if I can get her a little closer here and kind of show you just how much over a normal ball python just Orange Dream brightens up this snake and brings a lot more of that yellow orange tone in. But she is just a fantastic eater. I got her last year as well, and she's probably doubled in size since I've had her. She eats fantastic. She eats week in, week out, and she just really displays kind of what makes Orange Dream. To me, Orange Dream is probably one of the best, if not the best gene to mix into things in ball pythons. Everybody knows what it does in pied. Ozzy's been working with Orange Dream and high OD for a long time, and I have a super Orange Dream pied male that I got from Ozzy that is just one of the coolest looking snakes in the world. Holds the color extremely well. I like it in clown as well, but you can't go wrong with adding Orange Dream to basically anything in your collection. Next up is this, at number 4, is this Granite pied female, weighing about 3,300 grams, or about a little over 7 pounds. I think it was like 7.2 pounds. She's also newer to my collection since the last video I made, and really just probably one of my favorite pieds in my collection for just having Granite in her. As you can see here, really dark saddles, very high white, and it's just really striking what just this one copy of this gene does in it. She has a really, she'll kind of sit here, a really dark head as well. And I'm really hoping she goes this year. She has been paired up to my lightning pied male quite a few times because I'm really curious to see what this does in lightning pied. With how dark this is, the saddles on this snake, adding that into the lightning pied project seems like it would kind of do something really neat with it. Whether it makes those saddles really dark or really black, or I don't know. But I'm really excited, hoping that she does actually go. But she's humongous. She's one of my chunkier snakes, I feel like. She doesn't even eat weekly or even bi-weekly sometimes, but she just seems to the meat seems to stick to her bones. But Granite by itself, without any recessive genes, doesn't seem to do a whole lot, but very underrated or very seldom used in pied. You might want to look into it. This is specifically STM Granite, which is Skip's termite mound. I think breeder I think they're out from California. I bought it directly from him last year, and she's thrived. Been a fantastic feeder for me. Next up, we have another newcomer. This female pied here. She's about 3,400 grams, or about 7.5 pounds. I also got her at some point last year when I kind of decided to revamp my collection. She was an adult, but she has, again, just eaten like a pig. She's actually one of the snakes I use when I have bigger rats that I need to dispose of, along with my boa constrictor. She just likes the bigger meals. She takes them down with ease, and I don't have any trouble feeding them to her. But she's also a really cool looking pied, and just kind of shows you what pied can look like as it ages. It doesn't need to be boring. She also really has these dark outlines around some of her saddles, like these black pixelated scales here, all the way down her body. But she's actually kind of one of the moodier snakes too. I do have to watch when I open up her tub. If she's hungry and she feels like it's feeding time, she will absolutely not hesitate to jump out of the tub and come at me. So sometimes I do have to kind of go in with a snake hook just to make sure she's not coming out. A couple snakes like that, not too many of them, but I'm not trying to get tagged by any snakes, and obviously I'm very comfortable holding them, but I got tagged by a baby this week, and it still makes you bleed, so I'm not trying to go out there and bleed every week. So but yeah, so she's another newcomer, beautiful pied female that just seems to be crushing it for me. Number 2 is Crystal. She is my Mystic Crystal female. She was actually on this list last year. She even laid a big clutch of 12 or 13 eggs this year, and she's back up to still number 2 on my list. She's about 3,600 grams, which I believe is just under 8 pounds. She took a really big meal, as you can see here, in her belly this week. Again, she's also one of the snakes I use when I have older breeder rats that I need that are ready to kind of be retired from the rotation of breeding. She takes them without any issue, and then she won't eat for a couple weeks. But she was huge last year. I think she was probably bigger last year. At that point, she had not laid any clutches at that point, so she just laid her first clutch this year, and I had some really awesome bangers out of that clutch that I'm really happy about, and I actually held back 2 of them. But she is, on her way, and she laid so early last season that she'll definitely be ready to breed again for 2023. But just an awesome looking snake, and Mystic Crystal, kind of a very muted color palette as far as ball pythons can go here. Just an awesome snake, good personality, but she did make some crazy looking babies last season, so just goes to show you that you make the right pairings. And actually, let me grab the 2 holdbacks I had from her. These are the 2 offspring that I kept from her this past year. Just crazy looking patterns these are blue-eyed Lucy's. I think they're also black-headed leopard, which I think kind of adds to what's going on with their pattern. They look very kind of lightning-esque in their patterns, so I'm curious to try to prove them out. One's a male, one's a female. But it just goes to show you, they're kind of pulling out some of the colors that mom has, but they're definitely keeping a lot more of a darker tone because of the blackhead and the leopard. So, very excited to grow these guys up. Mom did a great job, and I think she's still holding down number 2 on the list. All right, number 1 on our list is the reigning champion princess. She is about 3,700 grams, which is roughly 8.2 pounds. She's the only ball python I have that is over 8 pounds. She's still holding on to the title, even though she laid a clutch of eggs this year as well. Unfortunately, it was a complete disaster, and she laid 12 or 13 eggs, and everything died from that clutch. So I don't know if Princess is probably ever going to breed again. I'll probably end up keeping her just as a pet and kind of like a show animal because she has such a unique color palette and pattern. She's huge and she's really docile. She's also a live eater, and I don't know if the camera will pick this up here. One of the caveats of feeding live, especially when you're getting bigger, which I don't like, is I don't know if you can see here on the tip of her, on the middle of her head. She actually got bit by a rat as she was feeding. I don't know if you can see it right there in the middle of her face. And what I usually do when I'm feeding these bigger rats to these bigger snakes is I watch and I make sure with a pair of tongs that they're not, sinking their teeth into the snake, or if I need to, I will pry the rat's teeth off of the snake so it doesn't actually injure the snake. Unfortunately, the second she struck at this rat, the teeth were just in a bad position and somehow clamped down on top of her face, but kind of between her nose and her eyes, left a really big hole. Fortunately, it's healing up, but she's probably shed 3, maybe 4 times since that happened, and I don't know if you can see it there. It's healed up finally, but there's still scales that are kind of rough on her middle of her nose there. But she's a trooper. She still will only eat live food for me, and I'm assuming at this point it might be hard to knock her off as the champion of the biggest snake I have, biggest ball python, because if I'm not breeding her anymore, she's just going to continue to grow. I mean, she'll probably plateau at some point, but it's probably going to be hard for anybody to knock her off for the foreseeable future. But this is what an 8-pound ball python looks like around her neck. She's a really cool snake. She's a pastel mystic potion, which really kind of gives you all these cool tones in here. They're almost like it's like a grayish lavender color. But she really is the princess here at Blind Strike Exotics. And she's still the champion of the top 5 biggest snakes in my collection for the year 2022. When we revisit this, I'm curious to see when we revisit this video next year if she still stays on top. Thank you guys for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.